Hey friends, Powwow guy Rob Phoenix here. Hope you're all doing well. It's Saturday, November 2nd. We're in a new waxing moon, first crescent waxing building moon. Um, if you can hear some crunching sound, it's my dog Blair is laying on the floor next to me chomping on a bone. So sorry about that. But anyway, today I want to talk to you about a friend of mine about a week or so ago. He mentioned a book to me that he thought I might like to read and maybe talk about on my obscure little corner of the internet. So I got the book. It's called Hoodoo Bible Magic. Um, People have often compared powwow with hoodoo, and I only had sort of a vague understanding of what hoodoo was about, just because I don't feel that um, I don't have a cultural claim to it. And that's just my own personal belief. But my son has a very mild interest in hoodoo. And I got him another hoodoo book recently, but I'll give him this if he's interested. So let me tell you about this book. It's not a review of the book because the book is great. Buy it. That's my review. It's written in such a way that I love. It's really small. It's short and sweet and to the point. It just says, here's what it is, and here's how you do it. And I really appreciate that. That's how I write my books. Here's what it is. Here's how you do it. Go. Um, but let's talk about what Hoodoo and Powwow have in common. Hang on, it's about to get barking. One second. Sorry about that. So let's talk about what Hoodoo and Powwow have in common. First of all, we have common ancestry. Um, Well, let me just tell you the ancestry. It's not all common, but powwow is European folk magic that involved uh, old Judeo-Christian magic, um, brought to the United States by the German-speaking immigrants and integrated itself within the culture of the Pennsylvania Dutch. Hoodoo was that same ancient Judeo-Christian magic brought to the United States by African slaves who then began practicing it here in like Louisiana, um, southern states and such with. So blended with their spirituality, which they then had to um, uh, uh, they had to kind of convert to Christianity, but not because they wanted to, but because they had no choice. So they found a way to find within Catholicism a counterpart for all their deities and such with in Western Africa. So a little different, but the one thing in common is that the hoodoo tradition and the Brockert tradition, we're all using the same source materials, that old Judeo-Christian magic, biblical magic. So things like the Romanos book line, the Bible, of course, the sixth and seventh books of Moses, you know, those sorts of things. Egyptian secrets of Albertus Magnus, some Saint Cyprian stuff, the magic of Moses. I mean, just all of that stuff like that Brockerai uses, but also Hoodoo uses. But they really embraced Catholicism because it had counterparts in their ancient Western Africa religion. So where you'll see, like this book here, you'll see a lot of what I talked about in a previous video, like using the Psalms. Whereas in powwow, we might just recite the Psalm or copy it on a piece of paper and tuck it away somewhere. And like that's the extent of our work because powwow is very simplistic. Whereas in hoodoo, they might take that same Psalm, write it on paper, speak it out loud, carve a candle, dress it in some sort of oil blend, like money drawing oil or banishing evil oil or something, maybe make an herbal powder, maybe burn a 7-day vigil candle in the name of a saint. There's the difference. So while the two traditions do a lot of similar charms, because hoodoo even works with a long lost friend, but it translates to that different culture. Whereas For a burn, I might say the charm. Now, let's think of a good example. Okay, if somebody comes and they want to be free of a bad neighbor, you know, a power might give a Brock bag, which is just a small pouch, and inside that pouch would be a handwritten prayer for protection from a bad neighbor and maybe a psalm tucked into that bag. And that'd be pretty much it. Those of us who go the higher octave of powwow and get into the more hexameister work and ceremonial magic work might actually create a talisman, a planetary talisman, um, to also put in that Brock bag. That's it. You're not going to find a whole lot of loose herbs and such. We just don't do that in powwow. It's just not part of our tradition. Not saying it can't be, but historically it just isn't. Um, Whereas you went to a hoodoo practitioner and said, I need to be protected from this bad neighbor, they might give you a Greekery bag, which is a small pouch filled with herbs or a powder or something. Instructions do a certain certain like floor wash. They do a lot of waters made out of herbs and such. Um, Dress a candle in a certain oil, like banished bad neighbor oil. Pray with a certain saint, that sort of thing. So there is a very big difference between powwow and hoodoo. At the most basic level, we have similar goals. It's just how we go about it is different, and culturally, it's different. Hoodoo is very much African American culture, uh, brought by slaves to the United States, who wanted to practice their ways, who needed to find a sense of power in a world where they had none, and they found a way to make it work, and it's become a thriving tradition. So me as a Euro-American white person descended from Austrian immigrants, I have no cultural right to hoodoo. Therefore, I would not touch it. I would not touch it. I'm fascinated by it. I love this book. I loved everything that they say in this book. I like this, making someone leave the 9 switches spell. That sounds cool to me. And it's very, very much like we would do in powwow, in the name of the Father and the Son, the Holy Ghost. Hoodoo is very biblical in nature, very Christian. It's even sacred secrets of scriptural sorcery. That's a hard one to say. Sacred secrets of scriptural sorcery. Fantastic book. And there are some things in here that I think I'm gonna use. I mean, I don't make all those various oils, uncrossing oils and banishing oils and hex removal oils and such. But certainly I do work with herbs insofar as natural remedies. Whereas more in the hoodoo culture, they work with herbs for like quote unquote magical purposes. They find the spiritual quality of the plant and utilize it that way. And also another thing that I've realized is different between powwow and hoodoo is in powwow, it's taboo for us to charge for our work. It's just understood that if we Sorry about that. It is a wild day here with the dogs, but Josani has a friend upstairs that our dogs don't particularly like, so a lot of barking and yapping. Anyway, I was talking about charging. In powwow, it's taboo to charge. If we charge for the work we do, it's believed that we lose the ability to do that work in the future. Whereas in hoodoo, they charge, and I can understand why they would charge because they're using a lot of stuff. And hoodoo was born out of a community of poverty. And so they need to make that money, and they should get that money because hoodoo is very labor intensive work. So I can respect that and appreciate that. I really like the idea of hoodoo. I'm very fascinated by it, and I have a lot of respect for the true practitioners of hoodoo. Everything I've read makes it's just a very cool tradition. And powwow is very, very much like a super simplified version of that, which I'm okay with. I like that. And I get my satisfaction for other things by taking powwowing to a higher level and embracing ceremonial magic. And, I'm studying Enochian magic and such at this time. So there you go. That's sort of like a comparison of powwow versus hoodoo. Not versus, I don't want to say that. A comparison of powwow and hoodoo. Both very cool American born traditions. And I have a lot of respect for both of them. In between, like geographically, in between, you have like powwow up here in Pennsylvania, and then down here in Louisiana, you have hoodoo, and in between, you have what's called the Appalachian conjure, and that is very muddied and undefined, in my opinion. I like Jake Richards' work on it. His conjure books. He's a very good friend of mine, but he's also a fantastic writer. I mean, he is such a great writer. I love the way he writes. His sincerity comes through in it. Like he writes in a way that I could never dream of being that good. But yeah, he's a very good friend of mine. So I like his understanding of Appalachian conjure. Now I've seen all kinds of other translations of Appalachian, what they're calling conjure, and I don't know. I don't know what to say about it, but um, it seems very undefined to me. So, and again, it's not my tradition, it's not my heritage, it's not my cultural right to this tradition, but I'm still very interested in it because I love American folk magic. So anyway, I don't know if you got anything out of this. I just wanted to blab for a bit, but that's all I have. I hope everybody's having a great November, November 2nd. In the United States. It's our presidential election on Tuesday. I can't wait for it to be over. I can't wait. I'm feeling very good about my candidate. And I just feel really good about it that this is a time of change and we're going to have our first woman president. And it's about time. So, anyway, thank you guys. God bless you. Love you. And let's talk again soon.